Hi, y'all. My name is Maggie Dickens, and I'm a professional counselor and personal coach in Houston, Texas. I'm also a member of the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis Regional Workshop Committee, and we have decided to put out this video to help you as a faculty member for one of the ASH virtual workshops. And this video is to help you better understand how to take your awesome teaching and presentation style that you are so used to doing and so good at doing in person and translating that to a virtual format. Not a lot has to change, and at the same time, a lot has to change. And so we're going to talk about as much as we can in a short period of time. The first thing to note is that ASH will be hosting all of the virtual workshops on Zoom. Zoom is both a browser-based system software platform as well as an application software platform. And we highly recommend that participants and faculty members download the most recent Zoom application to their desktop, laptop, smartphone, or tablet, whichever device that you will be using for the workshop. And the reason for this is the browser works, but it is not as robust, and the troubleshooting is a little bit more difficult. And so we highly recommend utilizing the latest version of the Zoom application. We also recommend that you use a desktop or a laptop. And the reason for this is that the screens on smartphones and tablets are much smaller. They are also utilizing a different type of software. So you have your mobile software, and then you also have your desktop, laptop type of software. And it's just a lot easier and smoother to utilize the non-mobile versions. But going back to the screen size, or at least I think I said that, maybe I said it in my head, the screen size of those mobile devices are much smaller, meaning that when you are on your phone, you are going to have to just keep scrolling side to side in order to see all of the participants. Especially if you are presenting, you would end up needing a tripod or something like that to hold up your phone, because you don't want to be sitting here like this for an hour to 2 hours. I guess you could put your arm in catalepsy, but that would be, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Anyway, the other reason for, or the other thing to note about a desktop or a laptop is just ergonomics. So for those of you who have a laptop, one of the things that happens, so I'm on a 27-inch iMac, and so I'm able to sit straight and look straight forward. I'm not having to look down at a laptop, or I'm not having to look up at a screen mirror to a television or something like that. If we are going like this or like this, we're going to end up with a lot of strain in our neck and our shoulders. For some of you, this is old information, but I just wanted to mention it since this online format is looking at a computer for anywhere between 5 to 7 hours in a day. So if you are going to be using a laptop, I highly recommend finding some books and just raising that laptop up so that you're able to look forward instead of down. Okay. The other piece when we talk about looking forward is I'm going to show you a couple of things. So one, you can notice I'm wearing blue light glasses, so you can see those. There are ways to make that better and worse. I have just given up on trying to pretend I'm not wearing them because my eyes get too much strain without wearing them throughout the day. As you can see, I have a lot of lighting on in here. So I will show you, this is kind of show you what the lighting would look like if I didn't have my ring light on. So that takes my ring light off. And then I'm also going to just switch to this, and that is without my big overhead lights on. So while this is much more friendly to my eyes, and probably what your in-person offices look like, very dim, very comforting for those of you in behavioral health. We really do want to mimic that harsh fluorescent lighting. in a video setting because we want to be able to really see you. On my computer, I have a built-in camera. Most laptops have this, and many desktops have this as well. If you have a computer that you have put a third-party camera on top, you are even looking a little bit higher. So I will let you guys know that the way that I am structuring this in order to look at you and have some eye contact with you, which is really important. And I am also not looking directly at the camera. When I look directly at the camera, my eyes are going up just a little bit, and you can see that I'm not looking directly at you. And so I am looking in this area. And so this is really helpful in creating that in that eye contact and that connection with people through the interwebs. Another thing to note is that if you notice, and I'm hoping that it's being captured in the recording of this video, that I have my name listed here in the corner. Everyone will have their name based off of what you have registered your account with Zoom to be. It's a free account, what you've registered that to be. So if you are using your spouse or your colleague's Zoom account, it's going to come up as someone else, and that is totally fine. There is a way to rename yourself. If you have someone else's name and you are a faculty member, please let Kathy know so that when she's letting people in to the workshop, that she'll know it's you, even though it says somebody completely different. We're going to talk about the chat. So at the bottom of the Zoom window, you'll see several buttons. You'll see mute, stop video. When you hit mute, just as I did a moment ago, you will see a red line go through, as well as everyone else in the workshop will be able to see that you've muted yourself. We recommend that all participants and faculty members keep themselves muted unless they are actively participating in a discussion. There's also a stop video function, which I'll use right now. And I'm able to stop my video and remain unmuted. With the stop video function, this is really helpful, as I mentioned, for faculty members to get their photos off of, or their videos off of the screen. And we talk to the participants about how to do that. The other is it's really helpful sometimes, or it is helpful when we're doing demonstrations, so that we end up with a side-by-side view of the facilitator and the recipient of that demonstration. If you find that you are unable to start your video again or unmute yourself, it was more than likely because a host, an ASH staff, or one of the chairs of the workshop has muted you or taken your video off. And the reason for this is that you may have forgotten, and there's some background noise, a dog barking, or a spouse coming in to tell you about a phone call or something like that. And so you will have been muted and your video stopped, those kinds of things. So just do a chat to the ASH staff or the host of the meeting, and you will be able to get your video back on. All right, so you'll also see that there is a button that says participants. You can click on that button and you can see all the participants that are in the meeting. You can see if their videos are on or if their videos are off, and if they're muted. The chat function is a really great way for the faculty members to discuss with one another and with ASH staff, as well as for the participants to ask questions. If you noticed in the schedule, you have been asked to participate not only as a small group facilitator or a presentation, an education session, or as a backup for those presentations, those education sessions. This chat backup, we don't have a better word for it, is for you to be in the lecture in the same way that you would be if you were in a conference room while somebody else was giving a presentation. And you're answering any questions that may come up in the chat. You're also providing any sort of support as you would if you were standing in a conference room live. Well, all right. So I know this has gotten a little bit long already, but I did want to jump into discussions about small group practice. Now, there is a full 25-minute video that is for the participants, and it is a recording of a slide deck review that I have gone through that is also gone through during the workshop. It goes through the format and the forms. So if you are completely new to the 2019 Standards of Training format for small group, please go take a look at that link. It is in the Google Drive that I'm going to show you guys in just a minute. And you are welcome to take a look at that and get more familiar with the roles or the forms and the format of the small group sessions. We've been doing this format for quite some time as it was being piloted before adopted officially in 2019. So most of you were already familiar with it, but if you need a bit of an update, take a look at that video. I will mention that there are specific time frames for each of the 4 level 1 small group sessions and the 3 level 2 small group sessions. And they all have a specific purpose. So the 4 in the small group practices of level 1, they're building on each other. And so take a look at the faculty instructions for small group that was sent out by ASH staff. And I'll also show you where to access that very easily online. And that will give you an idea of what is going to be covered in each of the small groups for level 1. There's a demonstration that will be given right before each of the small groups in level 1. And that will be demonstrating the specific elicitation that the participants will be practicing during the following small group. And so it is highly recommended that if you are doing small group practice only, if you will arrive to the Zoom room at the time of the demonstration and not only the time for the practice session. This will allow you to see what the participants saw, as they're going to have some questions, and it's also helpful to understand what they will be practicing. Also, in level 2, they will be practicing 3 separate applications of clinical hypnosis: anxiety, metaphor, and pain management. And so they will be doing the full anatomy of a hypnotic experience and applying anxiety and chronic pain management, and metaphor. And so it's a little bit different than the level 1 that has the 4 that are building on each other. All right. And so if you have any questions specifically about what topics are being covered, please reach out to the chair of your workshop or the chair of each level, and they will be happy to discuss that more. So let's talk a little bit about how to pass off the forms for small group when you are in an online format. Some of you will be familiar with Google Drive, and that is going to be the software that we are utilizing in order to seamlessly pass off information and forms to one another through the web instead of hand to hand. All right, so I have set up a Google Drive folder that will be shared with each of the faculty members. If you don't have a Gmail address, you are going to have to re-verify your email after 7 days. And so if you are part of both weekends or you access this very early, you'll just need to re-verify. It's a super simple process. It's just they send you an email and with a code in it, and you just add the code. So you don't have to have a Gmail email address.
Hi y'all, Maggie here. And I'm in a new space and a new year. And so I'm interrupting my previously recorded information to give you some up-to-date information regarding the way that we are now in 2021 and beyond going to hand off information, especially in a virtual format, regarding small group practice and then other information that you need as faculty members. So in 2021, we have moved to working with a new management company, and they have seamlessly gotten us a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more digital. So we are going to access our forms. Instead of getting tons of emails, we're now going to be accessing them on the back end of the ASH website. And we are also going to integrate Google Docs in a way that we have before, but we're going to use both the back end of the website and Google Docs. And this is going to be really helpful so that we have one centralized location to obtain information and one central location in order to pass that information along. And that passing of information, I want you to just remember that we are using this in the same way that we would if we pull a faculty member aside and say, hey, here's something that's important to remember or to note, as well as just handing someone a packet of information and saying, hey, here's what you need to know, or here's a map to where you're going next, that kind of thing. All right, so I'm going to jump into sharing my screen here and giving you a very brief but as detailed as possible overview of the back end of the ASH website for faculty members to access information. You're going to see at the time of this recording, we haven't fully uploaded everything, but all of that information will be there before your workshop, as well as going into Google Docs and giving you a little bit of information on how to use that platform. All right, so let's do that. All right, so here we are on the back end of the ash.net website, and I'm going to click here just at the top of the browser bar so that you can see what that web address is if it isn't too teeny, but you will be able to access and gain access to this web link via the chair of the workshop that you're participating in and or the ASH staff member who is working this workshop. And so on the back end, you can see that there's a lot of information here that used to be emailed out or handed in a physical packet. And we're actually going to be using the website once we move back in person as well, just so that we can minimize some of our paper utilization. So we're going to have all of these different workshops available on the back end of the website. So you can see our May workshop, which has already been completed. At the time of this recording, we have the CHOP workshop. So the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia is coming up. So there are some forms and information that is currently being added. And then our June workshop that is coming up for ASH, there will be some information that will be uploaded momentarily. Well, soon, in the next couple of days, I'm sure. And so here is where all of the information that you will need for your workshop. So you're going to have your links for each of the Zoom rooms. So level 1, level 2, if there happens to be an advanced that's online, that link is going to be there. You can see that the evaluations are here. There is going to be a registration list. So if you want to take a look at how many people are registered and kind of the breakdown, that information is going to be there. This is also a great place for you to have access to their telephone numbers and email addresses in case there's any sort of tech issues or something like that. We can use that list to reach out to the participants throughout the workshop. And you can see that there are going to be forms here that you are able to download. And so you can download these and print them on your own if you'd like, or you can download them and use them electronically. So we're going to click on this small group form. And so this is going to a download. I'm just going to open it up here. It is a Word document. So many of you who are familiar with the small group practice sessions, you have seen this form and you know that this is how we will be tracking the participant strengths and teaching points in each small group practice session. And so you're able to just type right on here and then you can save it and upload it into Google Docs, and which you can access through your Google Drive, and I'll show you that in just a moment. You can also use your tablet and any sort of electronic pen or pencil to be able to write on there, save it, and upload it. And if you do happen to print it, if you like that paper and pencil format, you'll want to either scan it or take a picture and upload it into Google Drive. So all of that kind of information is going to be available for you on this back end of the website. So everything that you would normally get in paper form is going to be here on this faculty resource page on the back end of the ASH workshop, or the ASH website rather. Now, I'm going to switch over into Google Drive / Docs. So think of Google Docs like Word, but it's like Microsoft Word, and it is there as a word processor. So really, when I mention Google Docs, I mean Google Drive. So I apologize for that confusion. Google Drive here, I want you to think about this like a filing cabinet. And so I have all kinds of information in my Google Drive. I use it to house a lot of information, but I'm going to pop in here and show you some information here about some Google Drive folders. Excuse my dog, just shaking and shaking. She wants to go out here in just a second. That you will have access to, and that link will also be put onto the back end of the ASH website and that faculty resource page. And so we're going to go into this May workshop just so that you can see what is uploaded. All right. So in here, you can see that there are some folders. Again, think of this just like a filing cabinet, and each filing cabinet is going to have different folders for what you're needing. So you will have access to, if you are doing anything with level 1, here's where you're going to upload your small group practice forms that you filled out. So we have named them via color, which is really helpful to not get them confused in the fact that we have 4 small group practice sessions. And so instead of having numbered groups, we have colored groups, groups that are categorized by color. And so if you are doing red group during small group practice 1, you would just upload your forms here, and they will be able to be accessed by the next facilitator for the red group. Okay, so if you are doing red group, small group practice 2, you would come into the small group practice 1, open up red group, and now you have access to each of the participants' feedback from the previous faculty member. Okay, now something else to think about, there is this report and general comments, and that's in here because what we want to do is make sure that we are uploading the rapport tool. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out that small group practice lecture that I was, slide deck review that I was telling you about. You can you will upload rather the rapport form. So every faculty member will have access to this at an easy glance. And then you're going to have these small group practice feedback forms, and these are general. And so I'm going to bring this up, and so you can see what is happening here is for every single small group, you would just put in any of that information that is vital. So if you would pull a faculty member aside and say, hey, this person is really, really strong, and however, they take a long time to reorient. And so they're going to make sure, we need that person as a recipient early on in the small group practice. Putting that information on these feedback forms here in the Google Drive is vital. That way the next faculty member who may or may not be in the workshop until right before their small group, they will have access to that information. All right. If you have any questions about Google Drive or how to access it or how to use it, please reach out to your chair or to the ASH staff member assigned to the workshop. So I'm going to go back to that regularly scheduled and pre-recorded information to wrap up this video, and I look forward to working with you guys next time. Take care.
Thank you all for being a part of this workshop. Being a faculty member for ASH is something that I love to do, and I know it is a commitment in order to get slide decks together and to find time away from our busy schedules to be present. And I am very grateful for you and the time commitment that you are making to this workshop. The participants are better for it, and we are so very happy to have you on board. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out, and we will see you during the next workshop. Take care.